We would now like to introduce the candidates for Calloway County Property Valuation Administrator. The duties of Property Valuation Administrator include maintenance of the city and county property tax base through assessment of real property. The PVA's office locates, identifies, and assesses property in 3 categories: farm, commercial, and residential. All assessments must comply with state regulations as to acceptable levels of assessment. Please welcome the candidates for Property Valuation Administrator. Mr. Bob Nanney, Mr. Ronnie Jackson, and Mr. Kenny Imes. Welcome, gentlemen. We'll begin our questioning with Mr. Rose.
As you all know, the way the situation stands right now, the assessments of the property in Calloway County are quite old, and they're going to have to be reassessed sometime soon. I'd like to know your philosophy on how you plan to go about your reassessment during your term in office, and are you going to go for a percentage increase or individual assessment, or what is your plan for the reassessments?
I think, first of all, the plan for reassessment is already set out in the laws of the state. They are to be going over each 2 years. Certainly, the new people coming in, I've heard you speaking of the number 1 city designation we have. New people coming in is certainly adding to the taxes when they buy property. It's assessed at the value that they give. But I think that as long as you reassess and go over them according as it's prescribed, we'll be adequate.
As I understand the situation, it's probably wouldn't be totally correct to say that all property is underassessed. Some of your newer properties are probably assessed at state statutory requirements at 100%. I think you get into the situation where some of the older properties probably are underassessed. So none of us, I don't think, can really practice this or specialize in this practice before we even have the office itself. I think we'll have to look at each property, look at the tax rolls. These records, you can go down and look at them now, but most of us haven't gone down and looked to see what actual figures are on the books. I think that will be our first objective, is to look and see for ourselves. The state is seeking total control of this is a local office, but the state wants total control through these assessment procedures. I think we'll have to look at the guidelines. We are administratively responsible to the Revenue Cabinet, and we will be responsible for looking and following following their guidelines and seeing what we can do. We will take it as it comes, and what will be in the best interest of the people and the taxpayers, and we're not hit them so hard that it hurts in an unreasonable manner.
First of all, the state, as Ronnie said, has jurisdiction over the PVAs as far as the way the assessments are done. Most property would be done by comparative analysis. Second, new properties are by deed required. It has to be recorded in the deed, the actual cash value. So I think the question is somewhat misleading. While all of Kentucky probably enjoys, from the taxpayer's point of view, a lower than national average in property sales, the property itself can't be under 90%. The state requires the PVA to reassess if any one of the 3 categories falls under 90%, nor can it go over 110%. So you have the state control that maintains some degree of fairness. You've got, in reality, a 20% leadway. How it would be done, there are several different acceptable standards. The most practical and the most realistic and the fairest way is by comparative analysis. Just to go through with a blanket raise of 5% or 10% is not really the right way of doing it, because the properties that has changed hands in the last 4 or 5 years is at its fair market value. Another thing, the assessments are misleading compared to the taxes. House Bill 44 protects the total residents of a taxing district, in so much that it can't be raised over the taxes cannot be raised over 4% a year. In other words, you could double property assessments, but the taxing authority, which is the fiscal court or fire district, whatever, cannot raise over 4% a year. So I think we have the things that keep everything in check to keep from just gouging the taxpayer all at once.
I think your office is pretty unique because you have to pass an examination before you can run. None of the other candidates have to do that, and congratulations to all three of you for doing that. We're told that the PVA works with the Revenue Cabinet in Frankfort, and they set our tax rates, and they come down with percentages and tell you what you can do according to the laws of the Commonwealth. If they're doing all this, and you want to hold a position locally, what are you going to do for the people of Calloway County to be of service to them personally?
In relation to your first comment, I would like to say that all three of us went to Alamo High School, and so I think it speaks well that the three candidates went to Alamo High School, passed the examination. In relation to your second question, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, the state legislature, in an attempt to reassess the positions of property valuation administrator in all the counties, and to fulfill the constitutional mandate that all property must be assessed at 100% value and be done on an equitable basis, passed a lot of new legislation, stringent laws that is going to make it harder to maintain local control. As far as what we can do to benefit our county, there are situations that as we go through the daily administration of these procedures in office administration and in valuing properties, is where we can use common sense, common judgments. We are the legislature has given the Revenue Cabinet a lot of authority, but we still have final say-so in what goes on down in locally.
I agree with what Ronnie said. The PVA is the bottom line. I think it's important to understand, first of all, the bureaucracy as it is. Most of the people that serve in the Revenue Cabinet or any other cabinet in Frankfort or Washington or whatever level have never been in a position to where they are responsible to voters, and it's awful easy for them to interpret state law in a manner that just makes, you'd think it'd be easy to do, or they consider it easy. But first of all, the PVA is going to have to be prepared to lobby in Frankfort with members of the legislature and with his own elected officials here, and to work toward developing laws and these rules. Now, you've got to understand that a lot of the PVAs, there are state laws, but a lot of it's done by administrative regulation, and most of the time that's where the problem's going to be, because these are not voted on by members of the legislature. So it's going to be important for an individual, the PVA here and those throughout statewide, through their association and as individuals, to be able to go before a legislative committee and explain problems they're having, be able to deal with them, and to make recommendations that make the job function smoother, and to begin with, to not get caught up in something that sounds good in theory, but from a practical point of view is not going to be very realistic.